Jake Morrison wiped sweat from his forehead as he led his patrol through the thick jungle of Kepler 442b. The air was hot and heavy. Strange sounds came from the trees around them. This planet was nothing like Earth. "Stay alert," Jake told his men. "We don't know what lives in these woods." Jake was a Marine sergeant. He had brown hair and green eyes. He was strong from years of training. His team trusted him to keep them safe. They were exploring this new world to see if humans could live here. The jungle was beautiful but dangerous. Purple flowers grew on tall trees. Blue grass covered the ground, but Jake knew that pretty things could kill you just as fast as ugly ones. Suddenly, Jake heard a low growl behind him. He turned around fast. His hand went to his gun. The other Marines did the same thing. From the trees stepped creatures that looked like giant wolves. But these wolves walked on two legs like humans. They had sharp teeth and yellow eyes. Their fur was gray and black. Jake counted 6 of them. The biggest one stepped forward. It was female. Jake could tell by her voice. When she spoke, "You walk on our land," she said in broken English. "Why?" Jake kept his gun ready but did not point it at her. He tried to stay calm. "We mean no harm. We are just looking around." The wolf woman laughed. It was not a nice sound. "All outsiders say this. Then they take our home." She was taller than Jake. Her muscles were big and strong. Scars covered her arms and face. This was a fighter who had won many battles. "I am Kira Bloodfang," she said. "I lead this hunting pack. You will leave now or we will make you leave." Jake looked at his men. They were scared but ready to fight. He did not want a battle. People would die. Maybe all of them. "I am Jake Morrison," he said. "We don't want to fight. Can we talk about this?" Kira's ears moved back. Her lips showed her sharp teeth. "Talk? You humans only understand strength. Words are for the weak." She pulled out a long sword made of black metal. The blade was sharp and clean. Jake had never seen metal like this before. "I challenge you to single combat," Kira said. "Winner speaks for their people in this land. Loser obeys." Jake's men started to object. "Sarge, don't do it," one whispered. "She's twice your size." But Jake knew he had no choice. If he said no, they would attack his whole team. At least this way, only he would get hurt. "I accept," Jake said. He put down his gun and pulled out his combat knife. Kira looked at the small blade and laughed again. "That tiny thing. Use this instead." She threw him a sword similar to hers. Jake caught the sword. It was heavier than he expected. The handle felt strange in his hand. He had trained with swords before, but not like this one. They moved to a clear space in the jungle. The other wolf people made a circle around them. Jake's men watched from outside the circle. Everyone was quiet. Kira held her sword with both hands. She moved like a dancer, fast and smooth. Jake tried to copy her movements. He felt clumsy next to her. "Begin," shouted one of the wolf people. Kira came at Jake fast. Her sword cut through the air where his head had been a second before. Jake jumped back and swung his blade at her side. She blocked it easily. The sound of metal hitting metal rang through the jungle. Jake tried to use his training. He remembered all the moves his teachers had shown him. But Kira was not human. She was faster and stronger than any person he had ever fought. She spun around and hit Jake's sword so hard that his arms shook. He stumbled backward. Kira did not give him time to recover. She attacked again and again. Jake was good at fighting. He had won many battles against other humans, but Kira was different. She moved like the wind. Her sword seemed to be everywhere at once, and she was enjoying herself. "You fight well for a human," she said while attacking, "but not well enough." Jake tried to kick her legs. She jumped over his foot and hit him with the flat side of her sword. He fell to one knee. Blood ran down his face from a cut on his forehead. The wolf people began to howl. They thought the fight was over. But Jake got back up. He would not quit. His pride would not let him. He attacked with everything he had. He swung his sword in wide circles. He tried to hit her from different angles. For a moment, Kira had to step back. Jake thought he might have a chance. But then Kira smiled. She had just been playing with him. She knocked his sword away with one hit. Before Jake could move, she grabbed him and threw him to the ground. He landed hard on his back. The air left his lungs. Kira put her foot on his chest and pointed her sword at his throat. Jake could not breathe. He could not move. The fight was over. "You lose," Kira said. But she did not sound mean anymore. She sounded interested. She helped Jake sit up. He was hurt but alive. He expected her to kill him or take him prisoner. Instead, she did something that surprised everyone. "By the old laws, you belong to me now," Kira said. "I claim you as my warmth keeper. You will come to my village. You will share my dwelling. You will warm my bed." Jake stared at her. His men stared at her. Even the other wolf people looked surprised. "What does that mean?" Jake asked. Kira's eyes sparkled with something Jake could not understand. "You will learn, human, you will learn." Jake walked behind Kira through the jungle. His hands were not tied, but 6 wolf people surrounded him. He could not run away even if he wanted to. His body hurt from the fight. His pride hurt more. "Where are you taking me?" Jake asked. Kira did not turn around. "To my village. You are mine now. You go where I go." Jake did not like being owned by anyone, but he had lost the fight fair and square. These people had rules, and he had to follow them. At least for now. The village was bigger than Jake expected. Many wooden houses sat in a circle around a large fire pit. Wolf people moved between the buildings. Some were making weapons. Others were cooking meat. Children played games that looked like fighting practice. Everyone stopped what they were doing when they saw Jake. They stared at the human with curious yellow eyes. Some growled softly, others just watched. "Kira brings home a pet," one old wolf man said. His fur was gray with age. "He is not a pet, Elder Marcus," Kira said. "He is my warmth keeper. He fought with honor." Elder Marcus walked around Jake like he was looking at a piece of meat. "He is small and weak. What good is he?" "He will learn our ways," Kira said, "or he will die trying." She led Jake to a house at the edge of the village. It was made of dark wood and had a roof of thick grass. Smoke came from a hole in the top. "This is my home," Kira said. "Now it is your home too." Inside, the house was one big room. A fire burned in the center. Furs covered the floor. Weapons hung on the walls. In one corner was a large pile of soft animal skins. Jake guessed this was where Kira slept. "Sit," Kira ordered. She pointed to a spot near the fire. Jake sat down. He was tired and confused. "What does warmth keeper mean?" he asked. Kira took off her sword belt and hung it on the wall. "In the cold season, nights are very long and very cold here. Pack members share body heat to survive. The warmth keeper lies close to the pack leader. They keep each other warm." Jake felt his face get hot. "You mean we have to sleep in the same bed?" "Yes," Kira said. "It is not about mating, human. It is about trust. I must trust you not to kill me in my sleep. You must trust me not to kill you." She brought him a bowl of soup. It smelled good but looked strange. Jake was hungry, so he ate it anyway. It tasted like chicken, but with spices he had never tried before. "Why did you choose me?" Jake asked. "You could have killed me or made me a slave." Kira sat across from him. In the firelight, her fur looked golden. Her yellow eyes seemed to glow. "You fought well," she said. "Most humans would have given up. You kept trying even when you knew you could not win. That takes courage." "But I lost." "Yes. But you lost. With honor. That matters to my people." Jake finished his soup. "How long do I have to stay here?" "Until you prove your worth again. Until you can fight me as an equal. Then you can choose to leave or stay." Jake looked around the simple house. This was going to be his home for who knew how long. "What am I supposed to do here?" "Learn," Kira said. "Learn our language, learn our ways, learn to be useful." The next morning, Kira woke Jake up before the sun rose. She had already put on her armor and weapons. "Come," she said. "Today you start training." Jake followed her outside. The village was already busy. Warriors were practicing with swords and spears. Hunters were preparing for the day's hunt. "First, you learn to fight like us," Kira said. "Your human ways are weak against real enemies." She handed Jake a wooden sword. It was heavier than his combat knife, but lighter than the metal sword from yesterday. "Show me how humans fight," she said. Jake took a fighting stance he had learned in the Marines. He held the wooden sword with one hand and kept the other hand free for balance. Kira shook her head. "Wrong. You fight like you are afraid. Fighting is not about fear. It is about power." She showed him how wolf people fought. They used both hands. On their weapons, they moved their whole body with each swing. They fought like they were dancing. "Again," Kira said after Jake tried to copy her moves. Jake tried again, and again, and again. By noon, his arms felt like rubber. Sweat covered his whole body. But he was starting to understand. "Better," Kira said. "You learn fast for a human." That afternoon, an old female wolf person came to teach Jake their language. Her name was Helen Whisperwind. She had been alive for many years and knew the most words. "Human tongue is too simple," Helen said. "Wolf speech has many sounds, many meanings. Same word can mean different things." Jake tried to make the growling and howling sounds. His throat was not made for it. Helen laughed at his attempts, but she was patient with him. In the evening, Jake helped Kira prepare dinner. She showed him which plants were safe to eat and which would kill him. She taught him how to cook meat the way her people liked it. "Your people eat strange food," Kira said while they cooked. "Too much sweet stuff, too much soft stuff. It makes you weak." "Our food tastes good," Jake said. "Good taste does not make strong warriors." When night came, Jake was nervous. This was the part he had been dreading. Kira put out the fire but left some small flames for warmth. She lay down on the pile of furs and patted the space next to her. "Come," she said. "Night. We'll be cold." Jake lay down beside her. Kira was big and warm. She smelled like pine trees and wood smoke. She put one arm around him like he was a stuffed animal. "This is weird," Jake said quietly. "Only because you make it weird," Kira said. "Close your eyes. Sleep." Jake tried to sleep, but it was hard. He was in a strange place with strange people. A wolf woman was holding him. His old life seemed very far away. But after a while, he began to relax. Kira's breathing was slow and steady. The warmth from her body made him drowsy. Outside, he could hear the sounds of the jungle at night. Maybe this would not be so bad after all. The next few days followed the same pattern. Morning training with weapons, afternoon lessons in language and culture, evening cooking and talking, night sleeping next to Kira for warmth. Jake began to learn how the village worked. Everyone had a job. Warriors protected the village and hunted big animals. Crafters made weapons and tools. Elders taught the young ones and made important decisions. "What was your job before you came here?" Kira asked one evening. "I was a soldier," Jake said. "I fought in wars. I protected people." "Good," Kira said. "Warriors are needed everywhere." Jake was starting to understand these people better. They were not just savage beasts. They had art and music and stories. They cared about their families. They had honor and rules. But he still missed his own kind. He wondered what his team was doing. Were they looking for him? Did they think he was dead? One day Jake would find out. 2 weeks passed in the village. Jake was getting better at speaking the wolf people's language. His fighting skills improved too. Kira seemed pleased with how fast he learned. "You are not completely useless anymore," she said after a training session. This was high praise coming from her. Jake wiped sweat from his face. "Thanks, I think." That evening they sat by the fire eating dinner. Jake had cooked the meat himself this time. Kira ate it without complaining, which meant it was good enough. "Tell me about your world," Kira said suddenly. Jake was surprised. She had never asked about Earth before. "What do you want to know?" "Everything. How many people live there?" How do you fight wars? What do you eat? Jake thought about where to start. Earth is much bigger than this world. We have billions of people living in huge cities made of metal and glass. Kira's ears twitched with interest. Billions? How do you feed so many? We grow food on big farms. We have machines that do most of the work. Jake tried to explain tractors and combines, but Kira looked confused. Machines do the work? Then, what do the people do? Different things. Some people make the machines, some people fix them when they break, some people study science or medicine. Kira shook her head. Too complicated. Here, everyone knows their place. Warriors fight, hunters hunt, crafters make things. Simple. Simple can be good, Jake agreed. But sometimes complicated things help more people. Kira stood up and walked to the wall where her weapons hung. She took down a small knife and handed it to Jake. This knife belonged to my father, she said. He made it himself from metal he found in the mountains. It has killed many enemies. It has cut much food. It will never break. Jake looked at the knife. The metal was dark and had strange patterns in it. The handle was made from some kind of bone. It was beautiful in its simple way. My people make things to last forever, Kira said. Your people make things to throw away and buy new ones. How do you know that? Jake asked. We have watched your people for many months before you saw us. We know about your machines and your throwaway things. Jake felt a chill that had nothing to do with the night air. You've been spying on us? Of course, we needed to know if you were dangerous. Kira sat back down. Some of my people think you are. Some think we should drive you away. What do you think? Kira looked at him with her golden eyes. I think you are different from what I expected. You learn fast. You show respect. You do not try to change everything. Their conversation was interrupted by a howl from outside. It was not a happy sound. Jake had learned to tell the difference between different types of howls. Kira was on her feet instantly, grabbing her weapons. Trouble, she said. They ran outside. Other warriors were already gathering in the center of the village. Elder Marcus stood by the big fire pit, talking to a young wolf person who was covered in mud and blood. What happened? Kira demanded. The young messenger was breathing hard. The Shadowmaw clan attacks our hunting grounds. They have killed 3 of our hunters. They claim the eastern forest belongs to them now. The warriors began to growl and show their teeth. Jake could feel the anger in the air like heat from a fire. How many Shadowmaw warriors? Elder Marcus asked. At least 20, maybe more. Their leader is Savage Darktooth. He says he will fight anyone who enters the eastern forest. Kira spat on the ground. Darktooth is a coward who attacks from behind. He has no honor. Elder Marcus looked around at the gathered warriors. We cannot let this pass. If we give them the eastern forest, they will want more land next month. I will lead a war party, Kira said. We will drive them back to their own territory. Wait, Jake said. Everyone turned to look at him. He felt nervous with so many yellow eyes staring at him, but he continued. Maybe there's another way. The human speaks of war matters, one warrior growled. He has no right. Let him speak, Elder Marcus said. He may see things we do not. Jake took a deep breath. Instead of just attacking, what if we set a trap? I could help plan it. Kira looked interested. What kind of trap? From what I understand, this Darktooth likes to ambush people, so we give him what he thinks is an easy target. A small group of your people in the forest, acting like they don't know he's there. When he attacks, the rest of your warriors surround him. The warriors talked among themselves in their own language. Jake could not understand all the words, but he could tell some liked his idea and others did not. It could work, Kira said finally. But who would be the bait? It would be very dangerous. I'll do it, Jake said without thinking. The village went quiet. Everyone stared at him again. You? Kira said. You would risk your life for our people? Jake had surprised himself by volunteering. But now that he thought about it, it felt right. These people had become his friends. Well, maybe not friends yet, but they were not his enemies anymore. Yes, he said. I'll be the bait. Elder Marcus stepped forward. Why would you do this, human? This is not your fight. Jake looked at Kira. She was watching him carefully. This village is my home now, he said. These are my people now. I protect my people. Some of the warriors nodded approval. Others still looked suspicious, but Kira smiled, and that was what mattered most to Jake. The plan could work, she said. But I will not send you alone into danger. I will be with you. That's too risky, Jake protested. If something goes wrong, they'll kill both of us. Then we had better make sure nothing goes wrong. Elder Marcus raised his hand for silence. This plan has merit, but it will need careful preparation. We cannot rush into this. They spent the next hour working out the details. Jake would pose as a lost human in the forest. Kira would pretend to be hunting, alone nearby. When Darktooth's warriors came to capture them, the rest of Kira's clan would attack from all sides. It was dangerous. Many things could go wrong, but it was better than a straight fight that would cost many lives. As the meeting broke up, Kira walked with Jake back to their house. You did not have to volunteer, she said. Yes, I did, Jake replied. This is my home now. You said so yourself. Kira stopped walking and looked at him. Most humans would have tried to escape by now, or they would have begged to go back to their own people. I'm not most humans. No, Kira said quietly. You are not. That night, as they lay down to sleep, Kira was quieter than usual. Jake could tell she was thinking about the plan and all, the things that could go wrong. Are you worried? He asked. Warriors do not worry, Kira said, but her voice sounded different. It's okay to be worried. I'm worried too. Kira turned to look at him in the dim light from the dying fire. Why did you really volunteer for this? Jake thought about it. Because you people gave me a chance when you could have just killed me. Because you're teaching me things I never knew before. Because... He paused, not sure how to say the next part. Because I care what happens to you. Kira was quiet for a long moment. Then she said, I care what happens to you too, Jake Morrison. It was the first time she had used his full name. Somehow that meant more to him than any medal or promotion he had ever received. Tomorrow they would face danger together. Tonight they were just two people from different worlds, keeping each other warm against the cold. Dawn came too early. Jake woke up to find Kira already putting on her armor. Today was the day they would face the Shadowmaw clan. Ready? She asked, checking her weapons one last time. Jake nodded, though his stomach felt tight with worry. He had been in many battles as a Marine, but this was different. This time he was fighting for people who had become his family. They met the other warriors at the edge of the village. 20 of Kira's best fighters were ready for battle. Their faces were painted with war colors, red and black stripes that made them look fierce and wild. Elder Marcus spoke to the group in the old language. Jake could understand most of it now. The elder was asking their ancestors to watch over them and guide their weapons true. Remember the plan? Kira said to Jake as they prepared to leave. You are a lost human. I am hunting alone. We pretend not to know each other until the trap is sprung. Got it, Jake said. He wished he could carry his human weapons, but that would give away the trick. Instead, he had only a small knife hidden in his boot. The eastern forest was different from the jungle near the village. The trees were taller and darker. Less light reached the ground. It was the perfect place for an ambush. Jake walked along the main path, trying to look lost and confused. It was not hard to act afraid. He was afraid. Behind him, far enough away that enemies would not notice, Kira moved through the trees like a ghost. The other warriors had spread out in a wide circle around the area. They were hidden so well that even Jake could not see them. He hoped they were really there. After an hour of walking, Jake heard movement in the bushes. He kept walking but got ready to run. His heart beat faster. A huge wolf person stepped out from behind a tree. He was even bigger than Kira, with black fur and scars covering his face. His teeth were filed to sharp points. This had to be Darktooth. Well, well, Darktooth said in rough English. A little human, all alone in my forest. More Shadow Maw warriors came out of hiding. Jake counted 12 of them. They surrounded him with weapons ready. I'm lost, Jake said, trying to sound scared. I was separated from my group. I've been walking for days. Darktooth laughed. It was an ugly sound. Lost human will make good slave. Or maybe good dinner. The other warriors laughed too. Jake's fear was not acting anymore. These people were not like Kira's clan. They had cruel eyes and mean smiles. Please, Jake begged. Just let me go. I won't tell anyone where you are. Too late for that, Darktooth said. He grabbed Jake by the shirt and lifted him off the ground. You come with us now. That was when Kira made her move. She dropped from a tree branch right behind one of the guards. Her sword cut him down before he could make a sound. Shadow Maw dogs, she shouted. Face me if you dare. The warriors spun around in surprise. Darktooth dropped Jake and pulled out his own sword. Kira Bloodfang, he snarled. I should have known. You always stick your nose where it does not belong. This forest belongs to my people, Kira said. You have no right here. I have the right of strength, Darktooth replied. Kill them both. The battle started fast and violent. Kira fought 3 warriors at once, her sword moving like lightning. Jake rolled away from the fighting and pulled out his hidden knife. But something was wrong. Jake could hear more voices in the forest. Too many voices. The Shadow Maw clan had brought more warriors than expected. It's a trap, Jake yelled to Kira. There are more of them. Even as he spoke, more Shadow Maw warriors came running through the trees. They had been waiting for this moment. Someone had told them about the plan. Kira's warriors came out of hiding to help, but they were outnumbered 2 to 1. The sounds of fighting filled the forest, the crash of metal on metal, the growls and shouts of combat. Jake saw one of the Shadow Maw warriors coming at him with a spear. He dodged to the side and stabbed with his small knife. It was not a fatal wound, but the warrior stumbled backward. Another enemy swung a club at Jake's head. Jake ducked and the club hit a tree instead. He kicked the warrior in the knee and heard bones crack. His marine training was coming back to him. But these were not human enemies. They were faster and stronger than any person he had ever fought. Across the battle, Jake could see Kira in trouble. She was fighting Darktooth and 2 other warriors at the same time. Blood was running down her arm where a sword had cut her. Jake knew he had to help her. He picked up a fallen spear and ran toward her, dodging other fights along the way. Kira, he shouted. Duck! She dropped low just as Jake threw the spear. It hit one of her attackers in the chest and he fell backward. But Darktooth was not finished. He swung his big sword at Kira's head. She blocked it, but the force knocked her to her knees. Time to die, Bloodfang, Darktooth snarled. Jake did not think. He just acted. He jumped on Darktooth's back and wrapped his arm around the big wolfman's throat. Darktooth tried to shake him off, but Jake held on tight. Get off me, human insect, Darktooth roared. He reached back and grabbed Jake by the hair. With one powerful motion, he threw Jake against a tree. Jake hit hard and fell to the ground. Pain shot through his whole body. Darktooth raised his sword to finish Jake off. But Kira was back on her feet. Her sword took Darktooth in the side, cutting deep between his ribs. Darktooth stumbled but did not fall. He was incredibly tough. He swung at Kira again, but she was ready this time. She spun away from his attack and cut him across the back. Now Darktooth was bleeding from 2 wounds, but he was also getting angry. Angry enemies were more dangerous. I will kill you both, he shouted. I will eat your hearts. He attacked with fury, his sword moving in wild arcs. Kira had to back away from the savage assault. Jake tried to get up to help, but his ribs felt broken. That was when Jake remembered something Kira had taught him. She had said that angry fighters make mistakes. They stop thinking clearly. Hey, Darktooth, Jake called out from the ground. Is that the best you can do? I've seen puppies fight better than you. Darktooth's eyes went red with rage. He turned away from Kira to charge at Jake. It was exactly what Jake had hoped for. As Darktooth ran toward him, Jake rolled to the side. Darktooth's sword hit the tree where Jake's head had been a second before. The blade stuck in the wood. While Darktooth tried to pull his sword free, Kira attacked from behind. Her blade went deep into his back and came out through his chest. Darktooth looked down at the sword point sticking out of his body. His eyes went wide with surprise. Then he fell forward and did not get up again. The death of their leader broke the spirit of the Shadowmaw warriors. Those who could still walk ran away into the forest. The battle was over. Jake tried to sit up, but everything hurt. Kira knelt beside him with worry in her yellow eyes. "How bad?" she asked. "I think I broke some ribs," Jake said, "but I'll live." Kira helped him stand up slowly. Around them, her warriors were checking on the wounded and counting their losses. 3 good fighters had died, but they had won. "You saved my life," Kira said quietly. "You saved mine too," Jake replied. "We're even." But they both knew it was more than that. They had fought together as true partners. They had trusted each other completely in the moment of greatest danger. As they walked back toward the village, Kira put her arm around Jake to help him walk. He was hurt, but he felt better than he had in weeks. He had proven himself worthy. Not just to Kira, but to all her people. He was no longer a prisoner or a pet. He was a warrior of the clan. And for the first time since coming to this world, Jake felt like he was truly home. Jake's ribs took 3 weeks to heal. During that time, he noticed changes in how the village people treated him. They no longer saw him as Kira's pet or prisoner. When he walked through the village, warriors nodded to him with respect. Children asked him to tell stories about the battle with Darktooth. "You are different now," Kira said one evening as they sat by their fire. "The people see you differently." "How do you see me?" Jake asked. Kira was quiet for a moment. "I see you as my equal, my partner, my..." She struggled with the words. "There is no word in your language for what you are to me." Jake understood what she meant. Their relationship had grown beyond the simple warmth keeper arrangement. They were bound together by something deeper than duty or tradition. That night, their sleep was interrupted by sounds outside. Jake heard human voices speaking English. His heart jumped with excitement and worry at the same time. "My people," he whispered to Kira. They got dressed quickly and went outside. The whole village was awake. At the edge of the settlement, Jake could see bright lights moving through the trees, human flashlights and equipment. A voice called out through a speaker, "Jake Morrison, if you can hear this, we are here to get you out. This is Captain Lisa." "Grant with a rescue team." Jake recognized the name. Captain Grant was his commanding officer. She had come looking for him. "I have to go talk to them," Jake told Kira. "They think I'm a prisoner here." Kira nodded, but he could see worry in her eyes. "What will you tell them?" "The truth," Jake said. He walked toward the lights with Kira beside him. Elder Marcus and several warriors followed. Jake hoped this meeting would go better than his first encounter with the wolf people. The human rescue team was small, only 6 soldiers with high-tech weapons and armor. Captain Grant was a tall woman with gray hair and sharp blue eyes. She looked relieved when she saw Jake walking toward her. "Morrison," she called out. "Thank God you're alive. Are you injured? Did they hurt you?" "I'm fine, Captain," Jake said. "Actually, more than fine." Captain Grant looked at the wolf people surrounding Jake. Her hand moved toward her weapon, but she did not draw it. "Step away from them, Sergeant," she ordered. "We're getting you out of here." "With respect, Captain, I don't want to leave." Captain Grant stared at him like he had grown a second head. "What did you just say?" "I said I don't want to leave. These people are not my enemies. They're my friends, my family. Morrison, you've been held prisoner for over a month. It's normal to feel confused. It's called Stockholm Syndrome. But you're safe now." Jake shook his head. "I'm not confused, Captain, and I wasn't really a prisoner. Let me explain." It took an hour to tell the whole story. Captain Grant and her team listened with growing amazement as Jake described the duel, his time in the village, and the battle with the Shadowmaw clan. "This is incredible," Captain Grant said when he finished. "You've learned their language, you fought alongside them?" "They saved my life," Jake said. "And I helped save theirs. We're stronger together than apart." Kira had been quiet during most of the conversation, but now she spoke up in careful English. Your Jake Morrison is good warrior, good friend to my people. We want him to stay. Captain Grant looked back and forth between Jake and Kira. She was a smart woman, and Jake could see her putting the pieces together. There's something else going on here, isn't there, Morrison? Jake felt his face get warm. Kira and we've become close. How close? Jake looked at Kira. She nodded encouragement. We care about each other, Captain. A lot. Captain Grant rubbed her forehead like she was getting a headache. Let me get this straight. You want to stay here on an alien world with a species we barely understand because you've fallen for one of them? It's more complicated than that, Jake said. But yes. One of the other soldiers spoke up. Captain, maybe we should just grab him and go. He's clearly not thinking straight. Nobody grabs anybody, Jake said firmly. I'm making this choice with a clear head. Captain Grant held up her hand for silence. She walked a few steps away and spoke quietly into her radio. Jake could not hear what she was saying, but he guessed she was talking to her superiors. After several minutes, she came back. Morrison, I have new orders. Command wants to establish formal contact with these people. They want to know if they're hostile or friendly. They can be both, Jake said honestly, but they're honorable. They keep their word. And they could be valuable allies. That's what I need to find out. Captain Grant looked at Elder Marcus. Would your people be willing to meet with our leaders? To talk about trade and friendship between our species? Elder Marcus spoke in his own language with the other warriors. They talked for several minutes before he answered. We will talk, he said in broken English. But only if Jake Morrison speaks for your people. We trust him. Captain Grant looked surprised. You want Morrison to be our ambassador? It makes sense, Jake said. I know both cultures now. I can help translate not just words, but meanings. This is highly irregular, Captain Grant muttered, but Jake could see her thinking about the possibilities. I'll need to get approval from higher up, and you'll need proper training for diplomatic work. I'm willing to learn. Captain Grant made several more radio calls. While they waited for responses, Jake showed the human team around the village. They were amazed by the wolf people's craftsmanship and technology. Dr. Alex Turner, the team scientist, was especially excited. Their metallurgy is incredible, he whispered to Jake. And look at how they've adapted to this environment. We could learn so much from them. They can learn from us too, Jake said, but only if we approach them as equals. By morning, Captain Grant had received her orders. Command is intrigued, she told Jake. They want to try a formal exchange program. You'll stay here as our liaison, but you'll also come back to the main base once a month for reports and training. What about Kira? Jake asked. If she's willing, she can come with you sometimes. Command wants to learn about her people directly. Jake translated the offer for Kira. Her ears perked up with interest. I would like to see your village, she said. Your flying machines and tall buildings. It's settled then, Captain Grant said. Morrison, you're no longer missing in action. You're now officially assigned to the Xenocultural Exchange Division. Congratulations on your promotion. Promotion? You're now Lieutenant Morrison. Someone with your new responsibilities needs the appropriate rank. That evening, after the human team had returned to their base, Jake and Kira sat by their fire talking about the future. Are you happy with this arrangement? Jake asked. I think it is good, Kira said. My people need to learn about your people, and your people need to learn about us. You can help both sides understand. Jake nodded. It won't be easy. There will be problems and misunderstandings. All good things require work, Kira said. She moved closer to him. Tell me truly, do you miss your old life? Jake thought about it honestly. Sometimes I miss certain things. Pizza, hot showers, movies. He smiled at her. But I don't miss being alone all the time. I don't miss not having anyone who really knew me. And now? Now I have you. I have this village. I have a purpose that matters. He took her hand. I'm home. Kira squeezed his hand. According to our laws, you proved your worth in battle. You could challenge me to another duel. If you won, you would be free to leave. I don't want to fight you again, Jake said. Besides, I like being your warmth keeper. Kira laughed, and the sound made Jake's heart feel light. "Then you will stay? I'll stay, for as long as you'll have me. That might be a very long time. Wolf people live longer than humans. Then I'd better make the most of the time I have." Outside their house, the village was settling down for the night. Children were being called inside by their parents. Warriors were banking the fires and checking the perimeter guards. It was peaceful and safe. Jake had come to this world as a soldier on patrol. He had expected to find enemies or empty wilderness. Instead, he had found a new life, a new purpose, and a love he never could have imagined. As he and Kira prepared for sleep, Jake realized that losing that first duel had been the best thing that ever happened to him. Sometimes defeat was really victory in disguise. "Kira?" he said as they lay down on their furs. "Yes?" "Thank you for defeating me." She was quiet for a moment. Then she said, "Thank you for being worth defeating." Jake smiled in the darkness. Tomorrow would bring new challenges as he worked to build bridges between two very different peoples. But tonight, he was exactly where he belonged, keeping warm the fierce warrior woman who had become his whole world. Outside, the sounds of the alien jungle mixed with the peaceful sounds of the village. It was the sound of home,